This is the ROG Phone II Tencent version. We just received it in the mail, but who wants to see another boring video of unboxing? No one. So, goes to the trash can. Yes, my trash can is a Nintendo box. Don't ask. The ROG Phone II is this kind of massive, overpowered phone that many people is talking about, and definitely it caught my attention from the first model. However, I was not necessarily very interested into it until my phone started to fail. My other phone, my previous phone, was the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. Although I was very happy with it, it started to like malfunction and I had to send it back and they reimbursed my money. I was thinking about getting another one, the same model, because I was quite happy with it. But then I was like, how much is the Razer Phone II? And I discovered it was quite cheap. And I was like, what about the ROG phone? So I saw that there was this model, this Chinese version, and it's not necessarily illegal, or it's not necessarily a bootleg version. It's actually an official version, but it's a little bit of a step down from the consumer American or international version that is going to be released soon. You know that already, or if you don't, then just go and look it up. Other videos, there is way better videos than I could actually do here as a review of the phone. But what we really want to know is, does it work for emulation? Because although I love to have physical copies of my game, although I really like to have this whole RGB type of pixel perfect quality, I do enjoy emulation. And I enjoy emulation because of the idea, you know, that you can actually play a video game that you used to play when you were 20, when you were 10, when you were 12 in your phone, you know, and you can actually bring it with you. So here are my 2 cents on most of the main emulators and how you can actually play them, you know. I will also give you a little bit of tips here and there. I'm not necessarily an expert in emulation. I'm not necessarily a super tweak master, and definitely I really like emulation. So let's get into it. But right now what we want to do is get into the app that is the ROG, the Game Genie type of app. So you see this cool animation going into it, and then you see here your games lobby. It will auto detect. So you see here, this is the Damon PlayStation 2 emulator, which is the one that we're going to be using right now. But right now I want to show you the settings that I have it on. This is quite a demanding emulator. So I have it like in X mode. I have the full spectrum of overclocking that you can have. Memory cleaner, that's something we want also to release some RAM, especially since we have the 8GB model, which is a lot already for emulation. But PlayStation 2 emulation is still quite heavy on any device, including on PC. So anything else I haven't really touched. Any other setting I haven't really touched. Only this one, the performance ones. And since I'm connecting it to the power adapter, I don't really care about power consumption. So let's go and start it. So let's play this game. It's called Bujingai for PlayStation 2, and I don't remember seeing this on an American release. So this is the European release. And yeah, it's a European release because you can choose your language here. And I would like to go in the full spectrum of PlayStation, which is 60 Hertz. Although this is the European, and you will be able to adapt it probably to PAL, which is 50. Let's go ahead and just leave it on 60. So here you see on the top and on the bottom the basic information of both the BIOS that I'm using for the PlayStation 2, as well as the CPU load and the FPS, all your necessary information for you emulator junkies like me. And you see there's a little bit of lines here. some vertical lines, and I have seen that repeatedly on this emulator, especially where there is like some video play. Nothing to really stop enjoying it. It's nothing necessarily that ruins your experience or anything like that, but it's just worth noticing it. It's also important to mention that this emulator feels that it's still like in a lot of progress. Like they're still working on it quite a lot. It's not like, for example, Redream or Dolphin emulator, which are almost perfect, actually a little bit better than the original systems. So here you see a little bit of like mapping errors. Sometimes it actually shows you the textures, and sometimes it doesn't on the buildings especially. Yeah. Other than that, the game runs very, very smooth. Look at that. Look at the animations, the special effects on all of those heats. So here I enable my map. I should actually take it away somehow. Right now what I'm doing is just like getting familiar with the controls. And you see how the animation of the game, although there is one or two enemies at the same time, you see, well, that there is some minimal drop of frames, but it's not that much. Here we can see the camera, how it moves, pretty consistent. And here is one of these errors of... Oh, never mind. You will see it in the future. So that was just for you to get enough movements to do the intro, right? Yeah. Yeah, apparently it was only released in Japan and in Europe. So here I pull out the Game Genie so that you can see the temperature of the CPU. Right now it's at 38 degrees, and of course I'm doing centigrade instead of Fahrenheit. So 38 is quite acceptable for gaming, for pushing some limits. But especially in this emulator, it will be increasing a few more degrees. That wasn't me. I don't know what was there. That wasn't me. I was not playing that badly. Badly, but not that badly. Bujingai, Swordmaster. And the game begins. So it's an interesting way to start a game. You just like jump right into it and go kill monsters, and then you will decide if you want to be, yeah, I'm a comet. Woohoo! I want to smoke what he's smoking. Baka the Monosuri. Oh, it was him. It was him. He broke the roof. Yeah, look at me practicing. I am the makeup master. $3,000 years ago, he was still like that. Whoa, that's a total dick move. Whoa, master. That wasn't nice. That was uncalled for. Yeah, this is the machete dance. Huh? What do you mean you need more training? I carry you with one hand. Oh yeah, the controls. Who needs to learn all these? Pfft, what? Nah. Let's just jump in the game. That's what we want to see. We want to see how the emulator runs. Show off. His master already left. He's like, oh damn it, he didn't see that. Woo! So you have these parry controls, in which if you press a button, I think it's like the locking, the enemy lock button, you can also parry some of the attacks of the enemies. This game it was fun. It was actually quite fun. I play a little bit of this game to test it, and then I got kind of like hooked, but somehow it made me wanna go back and play some Devil May Cry. You know what I mean. So as you can see, the game runs very smoothly, and this is not something super rare, but it's also not very common on the Damon PlayStation 2 emulator. You need to have, I don't know, it's kind of like it's a hit and miss. Sometimes there's games that I have tried and they supposedly should be running better than this one, and they are not. You know, they are actually quite slow, with less things on the screen, less of the mapping that is needed. For example, here the emulator has to map every single one of those buildings, and it does a great job doing it right now, but sometimes some of them fail and you will not see them. It will be like there is nothing there, and then all of a sudden you will be able to walk on the air. So this is a bigger monster, this is a bigger enemy, and the whole enemy gets a very nice resolution. He wasn't that tough. Look, those are the glitches that you can see, like where the textures are not mapped, and you will see some in the future. You will see some soon. So let's check on the temperature. See, right now it's 43 degrees, and so it increased quite a bit. Still is acceptable. I mean, I think under 50 is still good. Here's some of the glitches. You can see them even a little bit more consistently. You see how the floor disappears underneath my feet, and that could be a little bit distracting, or sometimes probably could be a little bit problematic if there's platforms that you need to jump to. I didn't really find any of them, but definitely that could be a little bit distracting. However, the game is quite playable. It's fully playable in terms of the moves, the frame rate. There is not noticeable delay on the control, although I'm using a Bluetooth controller. This is the controller that I'm using, and yeah, it works pretty good. It's a little bit tight on the phone when I play it just with the phone, but right now but it goes back together, and that's what I'm using right now. So although it's a Bluetooth controller, and Bluetooth controllers usually they add up some delay, I don't really notice any of them. It's quite playable. I'm sure there is some. So I could recommend to play this game on this phone. Let me know in the comments below if you tried this, if you tested this game with this emulator in a different phone, in a different device, and how it was your experience. I will be very interested in knowing how it was, just so that we get some probably some more data and see which games can run. If anybody wants to do a compatibility list, I will be into testing some of the games. Because let's be honest, these devices like the ROG Phone II, the OnePlus 7 Pro, and all of these like really heavy specification wise devices, they're not necessarily gonna be like, you won't be able to take advantage of the hardware with the mobile games that are right now available. I mean, what is PUBG? That would be like the heaviest. Grand Theft Auto, you know, but that's it. It's pretty much like it's heavy-ish in terms of graphics, but you can play it also in a Samsung phone. You can play it in the Pixel. You can play it in many other phones, even in an iPhone, you know. And to be honest, I think these kind of devices is better utilized. Their hardware is better utilized whenever you push them to the limits, and one of the ways that it's been pushed to the limits is through emulation. And I think that's one of the things that I really get very excited about emulation, that it pushes whatever hardware is being ported to or programmed to, it pushes it to the limit, especially if it's a very or if it's a recent system. I'm sure I'm not the only one, and I'm sure some other people also uses their phones for emulating just for the sake of it, not necessarily because they don't have anywhere else to play. Or sometimes probably like there is a long commute from your work to your living space, or you just like to sit down and not necessarily plug all the contraption that you might need to plug if you want to play on a system. In my case, it's pretty much just like I'm an enthusiast of trying things on different devices. I usually like to jailbreak my phones or my PS Vitas and try different emulators. I also do it with I have done it with Raspberry Pis. I have done it with Arduino. I have done it with different devices, and it's just fun. It's just fun to play with the settings. And yeah, of course it's not perfect, but if you want to play the perfect game, it just, I mean, there is other ways to do it. just spend the money in original hardware and sit down in front of a TV and play the game, right? But these are not necessarily for that. And sometimes it is. Sometimes it's a great way to just a great alternative for example, for me, right? It's a great alternative to the original hardware, which I also own. I happen to own. So look at those, look at all those glitches right there. I didn't even know if it was gonna be stepping on something solid or not, so I just fell down. I think this is a boss fight. I wanted to just show you how the game runs, and probably in boss fights. Here we see that the temperature increased by 1 degree, so it's 44 right now, and counting. I will probably play this game a little bit longer to see if I find any other mistakes, any other errors, but overall it's completely playable. Oh, this is the boss fight. Yep. Whoa. Versace Samurai. I am Versace Samurai. The sound is also well synchronized, which is also a lot to say for this emulator. Sometimes you can actually play the game, but the audio is delayed. And probably I will be doing other videos where you will see that. I don't know if there's a setting that you can actually change. I haven't really played much with the settings in this emulator because, well, it's been working as it is right now. But probably I will try a different resolution in the future for some games like God of War, like Shadow of the Colossus, which are games that are very demanding graphically wise. And for some reason here I see like a massive dropping of frames all the way down to 34 frames per second. And I don't know why. I mean, this is just a cutscene. Shouldn't really be that heavy. It actually looks like just like a video, you know, but yeah, you see there's a massive drop. It's a recommendable game for sure. If you have any way to play it, check it out. If you have if you are actually playing on the PCSX, go for it. If you're playing on original hardware, try to get it as well. Alright, now let's go to my settings so that I can so that you can see a little bit what kind of settings I have. So my graphics, I really didn't play much with it. The resolution is 2x, which is the recommended resolution. Anything else I haven't really touched. Of course, I'm playing on the paid version, on the pro version, because I want to support these people, and I mean it's something that I usually like to do whenever there is an emulator that is good, you know, or that is decent. I would love to support them and yeah, I mean help them out, you know. My audio options are not necessarily, my audio settings are not necessarily touched, and my system settings, I just disabled the BIOS, so I skipped the BIOS. The first one is slowest, it's just the speed, system speed, and then the EE speed tweak is in slow, and the VU speed tweak is also in slowest. That's the only thing I have actually touched. Anything else is the default setting. And yeah, well, this is my 2 cents on this game and on this emulator. I hope you guys liked it. Please leave it a comment, like it, or subscribe. See you next time. Bye.